it is called Year of the Dog, and it is a story that I'm going to look around and preview a little bit. There is a blurb on the back of the book, which is usually the first thing that I go to whenever I see a new book that we're going to read. I like to look at the cover. This girl has a lot of little drawings of herself that she's done. So I'm thinking that she's an artistic kid, one of those creative kids. And then here's what the blurb said. When Pacey's mom tells her that this is a good year for friends, family, and finding herself, Pacey begins searching right away. As the year goes on, she struggles to find her talent, deals with disappointment, makes a new best friend, and discovers just why the Year of the Dog is a lucky one for her after all. So I have a question. Have you guys ever heard, now this is going to sound silly, but I've really only heard of this. I used to go to a Chinese restaurant with my mom, and they would have a placemat on the table that would tell you the years. And it would be Year of the Rat, which I was born in Year of the Rat, or Year of the Horse, or Year of the Dog. Has anybody ever heard about these, how the Chinese people assign different animals to the different years?
I think I was born in the year, it's like their spirit animals, basically.
Okay.
I think I was born in the year of the tiger, because I think I learned it in 3rd grade.
Okay, so it sounds familiar. We've heard about this.
Which one's the December one?
I was born in the year of the ox, since when I was born, it was like the year of the ox, 2009.
Okay, very cool.
Me too.
Mine's 2001.
2009 as well.
I
don't like the year of the ox.
Oh, it's 2010.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was born, then you'd
But the oxes are being and
Okay, so we all have a little bit of background knowledge about this. I believe this little girl was born in the Year of the Dog, or she's going into the Year of the Dog. So we'll have to read and find out. But it sounds like we've got a little bit of knowledge, so let's get started. Okay, and this is important. The author's name is Grace Lin. Okay, so this is called The Year of the Dog, written by Grace Lin.
For once, it's actually not cold in the class.
It is for once not cold in the classroom. Yes, Molly.
Yeah, I think either my dad or my mom is the Year of the Dog.
Oh, okay. Well, ask them when you get home. That'll be a cool conversation.
No, wait,
animals how they blow through.
My dad is the Year of the Dog.
Okay. So, on these chapters, we have these nice little pictures, and they seem to be drawn by a kiddo. So, I think it's drawn by her. And it says, "A sweet new year. Happy New Year!" Dad laughed into the phone. Gongzi, gongzi. Zin yan kuale. The phone had been ringing all night with relatives calling to wish us a happy Chinese New Year. If we had lived in Taiwan, we would be having a big dinner with all of our relatives, aunts, uncles, and cousins. But since we lived in New Hartford, New York, they called us instead. "Yes," Dad said over the phone to Uncle Leo. "Happy Year of the Dog." "What does it mean when it's the Year of the Dog?" I asked. Our kitchen was full of rich, heavy smells because Mom and Lissy were cooking the special Chinese New Year dinner. I was teaching Kiki how to draw a dog for our decorations. I know every Chinese New Year is a different animal. But is something special supposed to happen because it's the Year of the Dog? And in the book it has the directions she was giving of how to draw the dog that looks like the one in here. So if you ever want to borrow the book, maybe during recess or something, and try to draw it, that's great. "Yes," Lissy told me, nodding her head so hard that her black hair swung back and forth. Lissy always thought she knew everything. You know how they say a dog is a man's best friend? Well, in the Year of the Dog, you find your best friends. "That's true," Mom said, her hands mixing speckled brown meat. "Because dogs are faithful. They say the Year of the Dog is the year for friends and family. But there's more to it than that. The Year of the Dog is also for thinking. Since dogs are also honest and sincere, it's a good year to find yourself." "Find myself," Kiki said. "Why? I'm not lost." We all laughed and Mom tried to explain. "No," she said. "Finding yourself means deciding, what do you believe in? What are your values? What do you want to do?" That kind of thing. "Like deciding what you want to be when you grow up?" I asked. Yes, Mom nodded her head. Well, Lissy said, I've decided I'm definitely not going to be a chef because I'm tired of cooking. We still have to make the shrimp, the pork, and the vegetables. We're never going to eat. We will, Mom said. And she looked at the clock. Pacey, stop drawing and go fill the New Year tray. I went to the cabinet and took out the New Year tray. We had polished it so much that I could see myself shining in the red and black wood. I also took out a bag of the special Chinese New Year candy. It's very important that the New Year tray is filled with candy. If it's full of sweet things, it means your year will be full of sweet things. Kiki hung up our drawings and then came over to help me, though she didn't really help much. All she did was eat the candy. She loved New Year's candy. I don't know why. It isn't even real candy like chocolate or lollipops. New Year's candy is sticky, taffy melon candy, the color of the moon. Kiki kept eating the candy, so I couldn't fill the whole tray. Uh-oh. Didn't they just say the tray had to be filled with sweet things? I looked in the cupboard for more, but there wasn't any more. But there were rainbow-colored M&Ms. I loved M&Ms. That's real candy. So I filled the rest of the tray with that. When Lissy saw the tray, her mouth made a big, ugh. It's like a,
What's that?
ugh.
I found it.
You can't fill the tray with M&Ms, she told me. It's a Chinese tray. Only Chinese candy is supposed to go in it. But there's not enough Chinese candy to fill it, I told her. We both looked at the tray. We couldn't decide if it was better to have the tray be half empty with only Chinese candy or full with Chinese and American candy. Mom was frying food, so we took the tray to Dad. He scooped up a big handful of Chinese candy and M&Ms and ate it. This way is good, he said. We should have both Chinese and American candy for the new year. It's just like us, Chinese American. I think it's going to be a very sweet year. So here's a picture of their house. Again, it looks like Pacey, our main character, drew it.
It is small.
Hey, Mom, can I see the house?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The next chapter is called How to Get Rich. Time to eat, Mom called. In the dining room, there was so much food. There was a whole fried fish, crispy and brown, meat dumplings fried golden, vegetables shining with oil, steamed buns that looked like puffy clouds, shrimp in milky sauce, and pork colored a brilliant ruby pink. The fish's eyes stared at me. I didn't like it, so I turned that plate around so it would look at Lissy instead. She turned it back toward me, and I turned it again. Finally, we had it look at Kiki. She never noticed. Everything we eat tonight has a special meaning, Dad said. These vegetables mean, how about the shrimp, I asked. That means wealth too, Dad said. What does the pork mean, Lissy asked. Wealth too, Dad said.
Everything is well.
Everything means wealth, Lissy said. All we care about is money. Well, don't you want to be rich, Mom asked. Yes, said Lissy and I at the same time. Kiki nodded her head too. I want to be a millionaire, I said. I want to be a gazillionaire, Lissy said. Me too, Kiki said. Me too. We'll eat these, Mom told us, passing us the fried dumplings. They say that these symbolize gold coins, so if you eat them, you'll be rich. I don't know how they're going to make me rich, I said. They don't look like gold coins to me. I'm going to eat all of them, Dad teased. Then I'll have all the money and you'll have none. That's not fair, I said, trying to grab some dumplings off of his plate. Give me some. I'll sell you one for $1, Dad said. See, that's how you get rich. The phone rang again, and this time it was Grandpa, calling to say Happy New Year. I bet Grandpa ate a lot of these dumplings, Lissy said. Grandpa's rich. Maybe he charged $2 for each dumpling, I joked. Actually, Mom said, Grandpa got rich by doing a job for free. Did I ever tell you the story about Grandpa's first patient? We all shook our heads, and Mom started the story. So this is going to be a kind of a shorter story within our chapter. It's called How Grandpa Got Rich. When Grandpa graduated from middle school and was officially a doctor, he was so proud. But he had a problem. He had no patience. And when I say patience, I don't mean like he couldn't wait for something to happen. I mean there were no people coming in to visit him as a doctor. It seemed like whenever people were sick, they went to somewhere else or someone else. No one wanted to go and see Grandpa, a young doctor with no experience. Still, with the help of his parents, he opened a small clinic in the neighborhood. Sometimes his mother would come over saying that she had backaches so he could cure her. Sometimes Grandpa would use his stethoscope on himself just to make sure it was still working. But most of the time, Grandpa just sat there alone, like the last dumpling on a plate. Then, one night, just when the sky began to darken with shadows, there was a frantic banging on the door. A street vendor had been robbed and was badly hurt. His clothes looked like rags of blood, and his wife begged for help. Grandpa jumped up and worked hard to save his life. He worked all into the night, and he only stopped when the moon hung like a freshly peeled lychee in the sky. Finally, the patient was out of danger. Grandpa left him with his wife in the clinic and told them that he would check up on them in the morning. But when Grandpa woke up the next morning and went to check on his patient at the clinic, there was no one there. The bed was made, and the room was as clean as an empty bowl of rice. Had he dreamt it all? Later, Grandpa found out that his patient was very poor. He and his wife had sneaked away after Grandpa had left because they knew they could not pay him. In fact, right after the accident, the wife had brought the vendor to 2 other doctors before going to Grandpa. The other doctors had refused to operate on the man because they knew he couldn't pay them. Grandpa, on the other hand, didn't even think about asking for money and just hurried to save the man's life. So it looked like Grandpa's first patient was going to be free of charge. Grandpa worried because he thought that it didn't look like a good start for his business. He had his family to support, and they were counting on him to make money as a doctor. Was the first patient a sign of his future? But he shouldn't have worried. Like the smell of roast pork, the news of Grandpa's good work spread around the village. People were warmed by the fact that Grandpa cared more for their lives than their money. They stopped seeing their Grandpa became rich. Mom finished. Then she looked at the empty table. You! There's no food left for me. Oh, she was telling that story. They ate all the food.
How did he become rich if he didn't charge?
Yeah.
So he didn't charge the first person, right?
But
then all those other people started coming to be his patient, and he charged all of those people. But they appreciated the fact that he helped that person who didn't have enough money to pay, and so they thought, I'd rather go to him since he's a caring person than go to these other doctors who turned away somebody who was dying. That guy was dying, and they said, oh, you don't have any money, so I'm not going to help you. So
that is probably the rule number one of not doing a right job to be an adult.
yeah, the doctors are supposed to help people, aren't they?
Yeah, they don't even have, you don't, I've read a book.
It doesn't matter how much money
people
you have.
looking who, the main character's mother got hurt.
Okay.
Like, they saw a doctor, and at first they went to, they went to a doctor, they didn't have any license, and the doctor was so kind, let them do it for free.
Oh, wow.
That's like rule number
the new year. And there's a picture here of the red envelope. And I'm starting to realize that these little pictures on the chapters are kind of giving us a hint of what's going to be in the chapter. After dinner, Mom gave us our Hong Bao special red envelopes, the color of a fully bloomed poinsettia with money in them. Mine had $5.
I got one with candy inside from one of my Chinese
Uh-huh.
classmates.
That was a lot of money, but not enough to make me rich. Lissy got $10 since she's older. Then, Mom got us ready for bed. Kiki had her own room and her own bed, but she never slept the whole night there. She always got up in the middle of the night and went to go sleep with Mom and Dad. So we're starting to find out some more information about this family, right? So Lissy is older, right? She got some more money, she's older. And it sounds like Kiki is probably younger. What do you think, babe?
Each time on my birthday, I get a red envelope
Oh,
with
neat.
$20.
That's really cool, bud. Good connection.
I never got a red envelope.
So I'm thinking that because Lissy never sleeps in her bed the whole night and goes to sleep with Mom and Dad, she's probably quite a bit younger. Let's see. Our room was buttercup yellow with flowers dancing on the walls. The carpet was a bright blue, so I like to pretend it was the ocean and swim to the bunk bed. Lissy slept on the top bunk because she was older, and Mom was afraid I would roll off in the middle of the night. But I didn't like sleeping on the bottom. What if the bed broke and Lissy came crashing through? Lissy would be okay because she'd be on the top, but everything would crush me.
I sleep on the bottom all the time.
Yeah, that's like a 0%. There's like that's like
Besides, my bed has like a net that like. It really
so
depends.
Okay, let's keep going. We have just a couple pages
It
left.
would stab us.
Traditionally, Mom told us as she was helping Kiki put on her faded sky-colored pajamas, you are supposed to stay up as late as you can on Chinese New Year. The longer you stay awake, the longer your parents' lives will be. So I should try to stay up all night. But tomorrow is school, so everyone goes to sleep. Aren't you worried? I asked. We should stay up, so then you can have a long life. Yeah, Lissy said. Let's stay up late. We don't have to go to school tomorrow. No school! No school! Kiki started chanting. Sillies, Mom said. Everyone is going to sleep early and everyone is going to school tomorrow. But after she left, I worried. What if I went to sleep too soon and gave Mom and Dad a short life? If I stayed up an extra minute, would they live an extra year or just an extra day? Don't go to bed yet. Let's stay up, I said to Lissy. Okay, Lissy said. But I could tell she was thinking more about staying up late than Mom's and Dad's lives. We turned on our bed lights and Lissy took out her book. She was reading Mary Poppins. It was very different from the Disney movie we saw. In the book, Mary Poppins is really grumpy. They even see a circus in the stars. I wondered why they didn't put that in the movie. And Lissy said it was probably because it was hard to make animals glitter. I opened my book. It was called B is for Betsy, and it was about an American girl going to school. I liked it very much, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Mom said about the year of the dog, and how it was the year I should think about what I wanted to do when I grew up. Lissy, I asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a doctor, Lissy said, like Dad and like Grandpa. I don't know what I want to be. You should be a doctor too, Lissy said. You can get rich by being a doctor. Can't you get rich by being something else? I asked. Movie stars are rich. You can't be a movie star, Lissy said. You have to be beautiful to be a movie star. You're not pretty enough to be a movie star. Ouch! That was a burn.
Roast.
Roasted right.
You're not nice enough to be a doctor.
I stuck my tongue out at her, but since she was in the top bunk, she didn't even see. Besides, she continued, you have to have acting talent to be an actress. You better pick something that you have some talent in. How do I know if I'm talented at something, I asked.
Well, she obviously isn't being
I don't know,
talented at
Lissy
being
said
kind.
carelessly. I could hear her turning the page of the book. Maybe if you won an award or something. Well, maybe you'll win some. Oh, hold on, I missed a part. Let me back up. But I've never won anything, I said. Well, maybe you'll win something later, Lissy said. I could tell she wasn't really paying attention to me. There's lots of time. That was true. I had a whole year to figure things out. I watched the stars light up like a string of Christmas lights while I thought about what the new year would bring. When I heard Lissy snoring, I turned off my lamp and went to sleep. The year of the dog was here. Okay, so raise your hand. Tell me what you think so far about our story. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Oh, Miss Christie, what do you think? Her older sister does seem mean. In my mind, I'm picturing her like, almost like a teenager, right?
Roasted her.
Yeah. Okay, Marley, what is your response to these first? We actually read 3 chapters, so.
That was the same way she was a best friend all the time. The main character's sister's mean because she just said some screws.
Yeah. Lissy is really mean to her sister, right?
No, she doesn't care about anything but herself.
Yeah.
She's probably not. She's probably nothing really good.
Oh, you think so? You guys are already defending Pacey.
She does, and she exists, and I had school money. I would be like, I'm gonna use Powerball.
I'm not going to you as a doctor. Johan, what is your response to the first 3 chapters? Okay. Anybody else have feeling anything about the book? Okay, Christy?
I love how the middle sister, I guess.
The one who's our main character?
Yeah.
Pacey.
Yeah. I love how she's concerned about her parents.
I know,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's probably gonna be a doctor. She's very concerned about her parents' life.
You can tell she really loves her family, and that's only just from the first 3 chapters, right? Okay, so we're starting to already see a little bit of who our main character is, and that's really great. Christy pointed out she's very loving of her family, very concerned about them, and then also she's a very thoughtful person. She's thinking a lot about these different life choices and decisions. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next chapters. We'll read some more later. Okay, Claire, will you end the video?
Of course.